It was a quiet evening, and the sky outside was turning orange. Birds were flying back to their nests, and the air felt calm. Inside the old house, Arav was cleaning the storage room. His grandfather had asked him to clear the dust and arrange some old boxes. Arav didn't like this room. It always felt cold. It smelled like old paper and forgotten memories. He moved a big box from one corner to another, and suddenly, something slipped out and fell to the floor. It was a small wooden box, covered in rust and spider webs. The lock was broken, as if someone had opened it years ago. Arav bent down to pick it up, but before he touched it, the lid slowly slid open by itself. Inside the box was a faded photograph. The picture was old. Very old. The edges were torn, the colors were almost gone, and the face of the man in the photo was hard to recognize. But something about the picture made Arav stop and stare. The man's eyes felt familiar. The shape of his face, the expression, even the hairstyle. It almost looked like him. A cold feeling moved through Arav's body. How could a man in a 30-year-old photo look like him? Before he could think more, he heard soft footsteps behind him. He turned around quickly. A woman stood at the door. She looked around 30 years old, wearing a simple dress, her hair tied back. But her face looked worried, almost scared. She was breathing fast, like she had run from somewhere. Arav didn't know her. He had never seen her before. "Who are you?" he asked, but the woman didn't answer. Instead, she walked slowly toward the faded photo lying near his feet. She picked it up carefully, as if she had found something priceless. Her hands were shaking. When she finally looked at Arav, her eyes were wet. "You shouldn't be here alone," she whispered. Arav felt confused. "Why? Do you know this photo?" The woman nodded slowly. "Yes, and you need to know the truth." She took a deep breath and then handed the faded photo to him. Her voice trembled. "Turn it around. Look at the back." Arav hesitated. He felt something heavy in his chest. He didn't know why, but something inside him was scared to flip the picture. Still, he slowly turned it over. There was a message written in dark ink. The handwriting was old, rough and shaky, like someone wrote it in fear. The ink had faded, but the words were still clear. Arav read them aloud. "If you find this photo, it means the danger has returned." His heart started beating faster. Below the line was another sentence. "And do not trust the one living inside your own house." Arav felt a shock. The room suddenly felt colder. "What does this mean?" he whispered. The woman stepped closer. "This message, it was written for you." Arav looked at her in disbelief. "For me? But this photo is older than me." Nodded. "I know. But everything in your life, everything in this house, is connected to this picture. The man in the photo disappeared 30 years ago. Nobody found him. And before he vanished, he wrote this message." Arav swallowed hard. The questions were rising fast in his mind. Why would he write a message for me? I don't even know him. The woman looked at him for a long second. Her eyes were full of fear. "You look exactly like him," she said softly. "The same face, the same eyes. I think you are the only one who can finish what he started." Arav felt his legs turn weak. He stepped back, gripping the photo tightly. The woman moved toward the door. "Be careful," she whispered. "And whatever you do not show this photo to anyone, especially not someone who lives with you." Before Arav could ask anything, the woman hurried out of the room and disappeared into the evening shadows. Arav stood alone, holding the faded photo in his shaking hand, and for the first time, he felt that his life was about to change forever. Arav stood frozen long after the woman disappeared. The storage room felt different now. Heavier, darker. The faded photo lay in his hand, and each time he looked at it, a strange feeling grew inside him. It felt like the man in the photo was staring back. Trying to say something, he left the storage room slowly. Still thinking about the woman's last words, "Don't trust the one living in your house." But who? His grandfather? His aunt? The house helper? He had lived with them his whole life. None of them had ever made him feel unsafe. Yet the message made him doubt everything. Arav walked to his room and locked the door. He placed the photo on the table and sat on the bed, trying to think clearly. Who was that woman? How did she come inside the house? And how does she know about me? He took a deep breath and turned the photo again. The man's face was faded, but the eyes looked exactly like his own. It almost felt like the picture was a mirror from the past. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Did you see the message? Don't ignore it. His heart raced. Was it the same woman? He typed quickly. Who are you? No reply. A chill ran down his back. Something was wrong. Something big. He decided to find his grandfather. Maybe he knew something about the photo. Maybe he could explain. He found him in the living room, sitting with old newspapers. Dada G. Arav said softly, Were you ever close to someone who disappeared long ago? His grandfather didn't look up. Why are you asking such things? Arav hesitated. He couldn't show the photo. Not after the warning. No reason, he said quickly. Just asking. His grandfather folded the newspaper slowly and looked at him with sharp eyes. Some things from the past should not be touched, he said in a cold voice. Arav felt his stomach twist. Why did he sound so serious? He quietly walked away, feeling more confused than before. Later that night, Arav sat alone in his room with the lights off. The house was silent. He kept staring at the faded photo on the table. His mind was full of questions. He wanted answers, and he wanted them fast. Without thinking too much, he took the photo and left the house quietly. He needed to find that woman again. He went to the garden, then the street outside, then the old alley nearby. But she was nowhere. Just as he turned back toward home, he noticed an old woman sitting near a street lamp. She was feeding stray cats. At first, Arav ignored her, but when he glanced again, he saw her staring at him. Are you looking for someone? She asked in a soft voice. Arav nodded. A woman came to my house earlier. She looked scared. She said she knew about a photo. The old woman's eyes moved quickly, as if she knew exactly what he was talking about. Tall woman? Tied hair? Nervous face? Yes, Arav said. Do you know her? The old woman sighed. Child, that woman has been asking about your house for days. She said she found something dangerous. Arav's heart dropped. What dangerous thing? The old woman shook her head slowly. Something connected to your family. Something that was buried long ago. Before Arav could ask more, a loud sound came from behind them. A car door slammed. A man stepped out, dressed in dark clothes. He stared at Arav, then at the old woman. The old woman whispered urgently, Go home. Don't stay outside tonight. Arav walked away quickly, but he felt the man's eyes following him until he turned the corner. When he reached home, he found something shocking. His room door was open. Someone had been inside. The faded photo was no longer on the table. It was lying on his pillow. And there was a new message on a small piece of paper beside it. You are being watched. Do not trust anyone. Arav's hands trembled. The danger was no longer in the past. It had already entered his life. That night, Arav could not sleep. The message left on his pillow kept playing in his mind again and again. You are being watched. Do not trust anyone who wrote it. Who entered his room? And why would anyone warn him? He sat on the edge of his bed, his hands cold, his heart beat fast. The faded photo lay in front of him. And the man in the picture who looked so much like him felt like a shadow from another life. Arav finally decided to hide the photo somewhere no one would find. He lifted the loose wooden plank under his bed and slipped the photo inside. Then he covered it again and checked twice to be sure it was safe. He switched off the light and lay down. But sleep didn't come. The house was silent at first. Then, thunk, a small sound came from the hallway. Arav opened his eyes. Another sound. Thok, thok. Someone was walking. Slowly. Carefully he sat up, holding his breath. A faint shadow moved past his bedroom door. The doorknob turned a little, making a soft click. Then it turned again. Arav froze. Someone was trying to enter, but after a few seconds, the shadow moved away. Arav counted to 10, then silently walked to the door and pressed his ear against it. Soft breathing. Someone was standing right outside. He stepped back quickly, fear rising inside him. The breathing continued for a few more seconds, then faded. The footsteps slowly moved toward the end of the hallway and disappeared. Arav stood there, shaking. He didn't dare open the door until the sun began to rise. In the morning, he went to the kitchen. His grandfather was already there, making tea. Arav watched him quietly, looking for clues. Anything strange? Did you sleep well? His grandfather asked without turning around. Arav lied. Yes. His grandfather finally looked at him, studying his face. You look tired. I'm fine, Arav said quickly. But the old man's eyes stayed on him longer than usual. Too long, as if he knew something. Arav left the house as soon as he could. He walked to the nearby market, hoping to find the woman from yesterday. She must know more. She must tell him something. But no matter how much he searched, she was nowhere. He asked shopkeepers, an auto driver, even a fruit seller, but no one had seen a woman matching his description. He felt more helpless than ever. While walking back home, he kept feeling like someone was following him. He turned around several times. The street always looked empty, yet the feeling stayed. At the corner, he saw an old poster peeling off the wall. Something about it caught his eye. The man in the poster looked familiar. Arav stepped closer. It was a missing person poster. The missing man looked almost like the man in the faded photo, just slightly younger. Arav felt the ground slip beneath him. He took out his phone to take a picture of the poster. But suddenly, his hand grabbed his wrist. Arav gasped. A man wearing a dark cap stood behind him. His face was hidden by the shadow of the cap. You don't need to know about him, the man said in a low voice. Arav pulled his hand back. Why not? The man came closer, voice cold. Because people who search for the past disappear like the past. Before Arav could speak, the man walked away and disappeared into a narrow alley. Arav stood frozen. His chest felt heavy. What is happening to me? He whispered. When Arav returned home, the front door was open. Not wide, just slightly. Like someone entered or left in a hurry, he pushed it gently and stepped inside. Dada-G. He called out, no answer. He checked the living room, the kitchen. Every corner, the house was empty. A chill crawled up his spine. He ran to his room and slid the wooden plank aside. The faded photo was still there, but beside it, something new had been placed. A folded note. Arav opened it with shaking hands. They know you found the photo. You must leave the house before it is too late. No name. No handwriting he recognized. Just a message that felt like a warning. Or a countdown. And then something else happened. A loud knock echoed through the house. Arav's heart stopped. Someone was at the door, and whoever it was. They weren't knocking like a visitor. They were knocking like a hunter. The knock on the door echoed again, louder this time. Arav stepped back from the entrance, his heart thudding like a drum. He did not dare open it. The warning note in his hand felt heavier than the whole room. After a few seconds, the knocking stopped. Silence spread through the house, sharp, cold, and frightening. Arav waited. No voices. No footsteps. Nothing. He slowly moved toward the window and peeked outside. The street was empty to empty. Whoever knocked was gone. A deep uneasiness settled inside him. It felt like someone was trying to push him toward the truth. While someone else was trying to stop him, he needed answers. Real answers. The only person who might know something was his grandfather. But he wasn't home. Arav walked through the house again, calling his name. But there was no sign of him. When Arav returned to the storage room, the place where everything started, he noticed something he hadn't seen before. A small crack in the wall. He ran his fingers over it. The paint felt loose. Curious, he pushed it gently. A thin wooden panel shifted aside and revealed a narrow gap. His breath caught. Inside, the gap was a stack of old letters tied with a rope. The paper was yellow and fragile, as if it had lived many years in darkness. Arav pulled them out carefully and sat on the floor. The first letter had a name written on top, Raghav. He didn't know the name, but the handwriting looked exactly like the writing on the back of the faded photo. Hands trembling, he opened the letter and began to read. If anyone finds this, my life may already be in danger. Arav's stomach twisted. Someone in the family is not what they appear to be. I am close to discovering the truth, but they are watching me. If I disappear, know that I did not leave by choice. Arav wiped sweat from his forehead. This wasn't just an old message, this was a warning from the past. He opened the second letter. I have hidden everything inside the house. The secrets, the clues, everything. But be careful. The enemy is close, very close. Arav's heartbeat grew faster. Who in his family was this man afraid of? Who was the enemy? He opened the third letter, and this one shook him the most. If you are reading this, then my life's fear has come true. Someone from my own bloodline betrayed me. Arav's breath stopped. His own bloodline? His own family. He looked around the storage room with new eyes. There were secrets hidden everywhere. Secrets nobody told him. Secrets someone wanted buried forever. As he read the next line, his body froze. And the one I feared the most is my elder brother. Arav held the letter tightly. His grandfather. Was the elder brother? Was the missing man Raghuva's grandfather's brother? Suddenly, the entire room felt like it was spinning. The message on the faded photo flashed in his mind. Do not trust the one living in your house. Ain't. Did the warning refer to his grandfather? A door creaked somewhere in the house. Arav looked up quickly. Footsteps. Slow, steady. Coming toward the storage room, he quickly hid the letters back inside the wall gap and slid the wooden panel shut. Then he wiped the dust from his hands and stood up. The footsteps stopped outside the room. The door opened. His grandfather stood there, his face calm, his eyes unreadable, his voice steady. What are you doing here, Arav? Arav swallowed hard. Just cleaning. His grandfather's eyes moved around the room, scanning every corner, every box, almost as if he was checking whether something was missing. Then his gaze stopped on Arav. You should not come in this room alone, he said quietly. There are things here you don't understand. Arav tried to stay calm. What kind of things? His grandfather walked a little closer. Things from the past. And the past is dangerous. Arav felt a chill in his bones. Did his grandfather know about the letters? Did he know Arav had seen them? His grandfather suddenly smiled too calmly. Let's go, he said. It's getting late. Arav followed him out, but his mind was racing. His grandfather's smile didn't feel warm. It felt like a mask. As they walked down the hallway, Arav noticed something he had never seen before. A small key hanging from his grandfather's pocket. Not a normal key. An old rusty key. Just like the one that could open secrets. Arav realized something. There was more inside the house. More letters. More truths. More danger. And he wasn't sure how long he could hide from it. Arav barely slept that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the letters, the warnings, and his grandfather's strange smile. The image of the rusty key hanging from his pocket stayed fixed in his mind like a shadow that refused to go away. By morning, he felt more determined. If the truth was hidden inside this house, then he had to find it before anyone else did. His grandfather was sitting in the courtyard, sipping tea, reading a newspaper. The key was still there, loosely tied to his pocket. Arav watched him from a distance. There was something different about the old man today. His eyes looked sharper, more alert, almost as if he was expecting something. Arav pretended to walk past him, acting normal. Good morning, Dadaji. His grandfather looked up and smiled. Good morning? Going somewhere? Just to my room? Arav replied. But that wasn't his plan. He waited until his grandfather went inside the bathroom. Then Arav quietly walked back to the courtyard. His hands trembled as he reached for the key. Try not to make noise. Just as he touched it, a shadow moved behind him. Arav froze. Looking for something? The voice was calm, but it made Arav's blood turn cold. He slowly turned. His grandfather stood behind him, staring straight into his eyes. Arav stepped back, struggling to think of an excuse. I thought you dropped this," he lied. His grandfather took a slow breath. "That key opens a part of this house I never wanted you to see." Arav's throat dried. Why? His grandfather didn't answer. Instead, he gently took the key from Arav's hand and walked away. Without saying another word, the rest of the day was heavy with silence. The house felt like it was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. In the evening, Rav heard a noise downstairs, a slow, dragging sound, like furniture being moved. He followed it quietly and saw his grandfather entering a door he had never noticed before, a hidden wooden door at the very back of the hallway. Arav's heart pounded. This had to be the basement mentioned in the letters. Before the door closed, Arav rushed forward and slipped inside silently. The basement was dark, filled with old furniture, dusty trunks, and shelves stacked with files. But something specific caught Arav's eye. A board covered with photos. He stepped closer. His heart stopped. There were dozens of photos pinned on the board, some old, some new. Among them was the same faded photo he had found. Right beside it was a picture of Raguva, the missing man from the missing poster he saw in the market. And next to that, a photo of himself. Arav staggered back. "Why is my photo here?" he whispered. His grandfather stepped closer from behind. "Because everything repeats," he said softly. "And you are repeating him." Arav turned sharply. "Repeating who?" "Raghav," his grandfather said. "My brother." Rav's breath caught. "So he really was your brother? What happened to him? Why did he disappear?" His grandfather looked at the board for a long moment before speaking. Raghav was stubborn. He wanted to expose someone. He believed a family member betrayed him. He kept searching, kept digging. And one day he vanished. "Vanished?" Arav whispered. "Or someone made him disappear." His grandfather didn't answer. Instead, he walked to an old metal trunk and unlocked it with the same rusty key. Inside were more documents, newspapers, letters, photographs. Arav picked up a file. These are reports about Raghav's case." "Why do you have all this?" His grandfather exhaled deeply. "Because I have been searching for him for 30 years. Arav felt his heart twist. "You weren't trying to hide him. You were trying to find him?" His grandfather sat down slowly. "Everyone blamed me. Everyone thought I hurt him. Even Raghav himself believed I betrayed him. But I never did. I tried to stop him because he was trusting the wrong people." Arav felt speechless. His grandfather continued. "He disappeared before I could protect him." Silence filled the basement. Arav swallowed. "And the woman? The one who came to my house?" His grandfather's face changed. "That woman is Raghav's daughter, your cousin." Arav stepped back in shock. "She believes someone from our family ended her father's life." His grandfather said quietly, "She thinks you look like him because destiny wants you to finish what he started." Arav stared at his own photo on the board. Then he noticed something else. A final file. Sealed tightly. Marked with one strange line. "The real enemy is still inside this house." Psst. Heart stopped. He slowly looked at his grandfather. His grandfather looked at him, and neither of them knew whom. That file was warning about Arav couldn't breathe for a moment. The basement felt smaller, darker, as if every wall was leaning closer to hear the truth. The file with the line, "The real enemy is still inside this house," seemed to shine like a warning written just for him. His grandfather slowly sat on the old wooden chair, looking tired. "Arav, there are things you don't know. Things I never wanted you to face." Arav stepped closer. "Then tell me. Tell me everything." His grandfather looked at him, his eyes old, but full of pain. "When Raghav disappeared, everyone believed I was responsible. Even your father kept distance from me. But the truth is, I was trying to protect him from someone else who," Arav asked. His grandfather did not look at him. Instead, he pointed at the sealed file on the table. Arav reached for it with shaking hands. The paper felt stiff, untouched for years. He broke the seal and opened it. Inside were photographs, letters, and one newspaper clipping. Arav froze. The clipping was about a fire, an old fire, in this very house. A fire that injured 2 people and killed 1. Arav looked at his grandfather. "You never told me about this?" His grandfather's voice was low. Because the one who died was Raghav's wife. Arav felt shock run through him. His wife? Raghav's daughter's mother? His grandfather nodded slowly. "She died in that fire. And Raghav blamed me. He believed I set the fire to stop him from exposing the truth. He left the house that night and never returned." Arav felt a cold wave move up his spine. "But did you set the fire?" "No," his grandfather said firmly. "But someone did." Arav's eyes went back to the file. There was a black and white photo of a woman, Raghav's wife, standing with a small girl. "The same girl who visited Arav 2 days ago? She thinks you killed her father," Arav whispered. His grandfather looked helpless. "She has no idea how deep this goes." Arav flipped to the last page. His hand froze again. There was another name written there, a name he never expected. Arav's father. His heart thumped so loudly he felt it in his ears. "My father?" Arav asked, in a trembling voice. "What does he have to do with this?" His grandfather closed his eyes. "Your father knew everything. He knew about the fire, the fights, the threats. He tried to help Raghav at first, but later he changed sides." "What do you mean?" Arav whispered. His grandfather opened his eyes again. "He started working with the real enemy, the one who wanted Raghav removed." Arav felt the ground shift. Who was the enemy? His grandfather looked at him with fear in his eyes. "I don't know. Raghav never told me. He only said the enemy was someone close, someone inside the family." Arav felt dizzy. "So my father was helping that person?" "Yes," his grandfather said quietly. "And before Raghav disappeared, he left a message for you." "For me?" Arav stepped back. "But how? I wasn't even born." His grandfather nodded. "But Raghav believed you would come. Someone who looked like him. Someone who could finish what he started." Arav's eyes dropped to the faded photo. The familiar eyes. The same face. Destiny had tied them together long before he existed. Suddenly, the basement door slammed upstairs, Aarav, and his grandfather both jumped. Footsteps echoed down the staircase. Slow, heavy, intentional. Arav's heart pounded. "Is it her?" he whispered. "Raghav's daughter?" His grandfather shook his head. "No. These footsteps. These are heavier." A shadow appeared on the basement wall. A tall figure slowly descended the stairs. Arav grabbed the faded photo, clutching it close. "Who's there?" He called out. No answer. The footsteps came closer. Arav's grandfather stood up, breathing hard. "I know that walk," he whispered. His voice shook with fear. The figure finally reached the last step. Arav's eyes widened. It was a man he had not seen before. But his face. His grandfather froze. "No, it can't be." The man stepped forward, his expression cold and unreadable. Arav's voice cracked. "Who are you?" The man smiled faintly. "I am the one your father helped." Then he looked at the grandfather. "And the one your brother tried to expose?" Arav's blood ran cold. "Your story," the man said softly, "has only just begun." The basement lights flickered, and the screen would cut to black right there. A perfect, breathless ending.